I think we need to break down a lot of these PlayStation exclusives that are starting to come to Xbox. My big bet is Marvel Spider-Man coming to Xbox. It's crazy, but it's a bet anyways. I may fail, but I'm betting against my own self. I can't put money on it. I'm not a gambling person, but I see the trends. And so I'm going and I'm shooting for the top end in this conversation. In 2018, I made my very first prediction. I think it was more like an analytical conclusion, deducing what the situation was. And I saw that the PC market was growing. The video is unlisted. If you want to watch it, I can make it available for you. And I said that Marvel Spider-Man needed to come to the PC platform. I even at that point used to say, maybe PlayStation could actually take some time and do timed exclusivity. But since then, I've actually changed to full-blown day and date. Like you've seen me, I don't know, maybe if you were watching my videos back then, you've seen me basically move and change my opinion across the board. I've also taken some time to collate a lot of these PlayStation, exclusives, in quote, that are now moving to Xbox and the excuses that we're seeing from our so-called hyper PlayStation fanboys. The ones that don't like gaming but prefer list wars over actually figuring out what's going on in the industry. So I have three different, columns for this, and column A basically talks about the PlayStation multiplat itself, and then the excuse that's given follows, and then pertinent question or questions that we can ask to say maybe something is going on. On the list, there are 4 games. MLB The Show is number 1. And the excuse that we got was that MLB wanted it. In fact, the excuse is so big that some outlets wrote it as MLB wanted the show on Xbox. Sony had no input on decision. This was written by Console Creatures. And then Paul Tassi wrote, Sony states the obvious. MLB did the show 21 Xbox Game Pass deal. So it seems like every time these things happen, Sony and PlayStation quickly wash their hands off of it. They wash their hands in the news, and for the most part, a lot of the news folk just carry water without any critical questioning, which is what the media should be doing, or at least analytical conclusions that they could go and say, okay, what was going on that they actually allowed for MLB to want the deal, or allowed for this company to want the game to go to not only Xbox, but dive head on into Game Pass at basically that launch in 2021 and consecutive launches afterwards. It was money. The game sales were sucking across the different generations of PlayStation consoles that they had it on. In fact, it was so much the fact that it was money that at the point where this game actually did well, there's a Berkshire Hathaway document that actually pointed out how MLB The Show 21 was the fastest selling MLB game since the game had actually been released, selling about 2 million copies after a few months. Since then, if you go back and look at the Wikipedia list, you're going to see that same amount in terms of sales, but it was actually accomplished over a wider and longer period of time. So money was the reason, and PlayStation willfully conceded to the deal. If PlayStation, who walks away from Disney, allows for MLB to bully them, then they're not the market leader than they've actually, or I guess people have actually made them out to be. So the pertinent question is, did MLB bully PlayStation? If yes, PlayStation is weak. If no, PlayStation is weak. So this is a way to actually put it. So in essence, PlayStation ain't all that, and apparently their exclusivity ploy is not really that strong, or wasn't strong, with MLB The Show. A win for the death of exclusivity. Lego Horizon Adventures is the other one that's coming. Here in a few days, we're going to see this game. I'm looking forward to this game. I've been telling y'all, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of my most anticipated games this year. It's a game that has made me very happy because, again, like we're seeing, a lot of my predictions based on the market are starting to come in place. This game is not only going to launch on the PlayStation platform, it will have a PC launch. It will skip the PlayStation 4 launch, which I think is not a prudent way to go, but it's PlayStation's own L. Let them hold it when it happens, and the Nintendo Switch. To that, under my list, I've asked, what is the excuse? And the excuse that we're getting from PlayStation fanboys, even though I don't see any official remarks to that, is that Lego wanted it. So somewhere, somehow, there is no agency in the decision-making of where Aloy goes. We know that is absolute horse manure. There's no way you can actually say something like that and then walk away. So the Lego wanted it excuse is actually crap. PlayStation also wanted it. Why? Because you can see Gorilla right here, basically making the game for them. You can also see how, when you go back a little bit, there's a post of a developer from Guerrilla Studios celebrating that they're actually making a game for Nintendo. So even the devs over there, Guerrilla, wanted it themselves, and one of their, personnel was, seen celebrating it at the end of the day. Now, the pertinent question that you have to ask is this: is Horizon not a PlayStation IP? And to that, the answer is yes. So PlayStation would have also wanted to willfully and willingly take this game day and date to not only PC, ignoring the PS4, but to the Nintendo Switch. Guys, we're just on 2 games, and you can already start to see this whole PlayStation exclusivity ploy of, oh, we're going to come 2 years later. Oh, we're going to only make live service, blah, 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 starting to unravel. Even though they try to run away from it, Death Stranding is another one that's interesting, of which the excuse is that they sold it to Kojima. Interesting. Okay, let's just say Hideo Kojima was like, you know what? I don't saved up a chunk of dough. I want to buy my Death Stranding back. Let's go do it. PlayStation's like, sure, we'll sell it back to you. The question, though, is why did they sell it to Kojima? Also, why was it even on Game Pass before we heard about this sale to Kojima? What was going on in the workings? To that, I say it's absolute horse dung. The game probably was no longer profitable for them. Kojima realized that there's more opportunity in other platforms, and basically his actions are saying that PlayStation's exclusivity is not sufficient, so he's gone and decided that he's going to go and make money. This is the way the gaming industry is going to continue to go. And the next and final one is Ilphonic, who also have a very similar approach to the way they got their license for Predator Hunting Grounds from PlayStation. They acquired the publishing rights. To this, I've started to see that, at the end of the day, a game like Stellar Blade is probably going to take the exact same approach, as the company hopefully is able to make more in terms of sales, even though their sales right now compared to the potential of that game is straight up whack. I mean, 1 million, maybe 2 million copies for a game like that, a hack and slash, Souls-like, whatever you want to call it, with a character that is pretty much in a place where people had some, they resonated with the character from an artistic perspective and all of the above. You can't tell me that only 2 million copies of the game is sufficient in that regard in terms of its potential. I mean, on PlayStation, being locked down there and seeing how PlayStation fans play Call of Duty and everything else, that's possible. But if the game were on PC or on Xbox, I think that game would have easily beaten Final Fantasy 16 in terms of how it's pretty much sold. There's no doubt about that. And so in all of this, it seems like somewhere, somehow, PlayStation is somewhat, removing itself from the agency of the decision making, of which at the end of the day, it either shows that they're incompetent or incapable of making these games fully profitable on their platforms alone. So it seems like exclusivity needs to go away from PlayStation so that they can actually make money, because their own developers from the third-party side are fleeing in droves. We can add Koei Tecmo to the list. We can add them as one who've partnered with them before in the past, but have now indicated and signaled that they want to publish their games. We can also indicate Square Enix, who also decided, we're done with this exclusivity thing. And we can also go with Pearl Abyss, who pretty much laid it straight up and let us know that this exclusivity play is not one that actually enables for developers to be able to make money. PlayStation needs to wake up. And I think right now, every sign is pointing to them that they really need to do something severely different. And it's probably going to maybe get some hair off their skin, because they're not really used to humble pie. But this humble pie will be interesting to eat. I really would love to see it, because I think it will help PlayStation get to a place where they can actually compete. All the yes men that are following their exclusivity strategy, I'm telling you, you're going to, support this company straight into the ground if they don't adjust their business strategy at the end of the day. They're a third party. They need to lean into it a lot more. Xbox is already beating them in that front, so why should they be behind? Thanks for watching the video, guys. Appreciate you all so much. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.